Knock, knock. Who's there? M. Night Shyamalan. He's back with Knock at the Cabin.
Can I talk to you for a little bit?
This movie has to deal with a mysterious occurrence at this cabin with this little girl and her two dads. They're just kind of on a cabin vacation, and then all of a sudden Dave Bautista comes up and is like, yeah, the world's gonna end, and y'all gotta make a decision. So that's basically the plot of the movie. Don't want to give anything too crazy away because this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and as we know, known for his twists and his turns and his kind of movies like that. This one isn't as twisty like that, but at the same time, it keeps you engaged the entire time trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Is this real? Is this not real? What's this character doing? What's this character doing? What did you think of Knock at the Cabin, Christian?
Okay, I have a statement. I think this is Shyamalan's best movie since Signs.
I hadn't looked at the entire filmography, but I did think that on the way to drive over, I thought maybe that wasn't hyperbole and it could have been a possibility.
I know you go Split or you go this, but I like this more than I like Split, despite the fact that that has a tremendous James McAvoy performance. At about like the 35-minute mark, this is pretty strange considering there's like murder. I was delighted because suddenly I was like, he's doing it. I felt the confidence in his direction. Everything just seemed to work. For me, at least. It's a simple story that is told really well. I dug it, man. I really did.
I completely agree. You can tell that M. Night Shyamalan is like, I'm a director. This is what I do. This is how I'm going to shoot this. This is how I'm going to shoot that. This is how the story's going to unfold. This is my main theme of the story, and this is going to incorporate through the entire runtime. Little seeds here, little seeds there. You could tell he had a vision with this movie, even though it is based off of a novel, apparently. Yeah. It wasn't really like one of his concoctions where he was like, I have this idea, and I'm going to do this. One of those things where he read this book, and he saw his kind of idea in it, and he implemented it really well.
His previous movie, Old, was also based on the comic or something. I actually kind of like that movie, though the screenplay is pretty bad. I just found the ideas in that movie really compelling. My takeaway from it was he needs a collaborator. While the credits for Knock at the Cabin were going, it said that there were 3 screenwriters. Yes! Yes! And it works. It really does. Because the ideas with him are usually there. His 2 worst movies, I think I have no idea why he made them. His ideas are usually there. He just needs, like, a polish. This had the polish.
Right there with it the whole time. It's keeping you tension-wise and everything like that. There were a couple of decisions maybe here or there where I'm kind of confused on certain things, but at the same time, it doesn't take you out of the movie at any point. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't believe anything that's going on here. I don't understand how this situation could occur. Every now and then, it's just a couple of choices you might think a little bit on, like, after I get out of this movie, I'm definitely going to think about this or this or that, which is, in my opinion, not a bad thing. When a movie has staying power, that I think makes like a great movie in terms of that, where you're thinking about the idea at work the next day, or hey, I want to watch this with my buddy and see what they think of it, that kind of thing. I think that's when a movie, you know, it really works, or you really related to it or really felt it. The way this movie goes about, I do think that maybe it's not as rewatchable as maybe some of his other movies.
That's fair.
Even though its craft is great Shyamalan, and this is why people really like the guy and really trust him as a filmmaker.
I feel the same way. This is why we had the stock in him. This felt like a return to form. I'd say this is probably like my 4th favorite of his. The vision seemed clear. I thought the performances were uniformly really good. It was well written. I will say, the man wastes no time here.
Oh, yeah.
I shit you not. This movie starts, and it doesn't stop. And you know what? He gets in, and he tells a story in under 100 minutes. That's incredible.
He has this cake and eats it too a little bit by incorporating the flashbacks into the narrative. But it really, I thought it was an interesting choice, kind of seep these little revelations. And there's nothing super crazy revealed through these, I don't think. But at the same time, it really does enhance your opinion of the characters. It makes the stakes work better. It makes you want these guys to come out of this in a good place, and everybody involved, really. Some of the other characters, they don't get those reveals or anything, but you kind of get various artifacts of their past lives and everything, and you like believe them as people. As far as performances go, I really do think Dave Bautista is amazing in this movie.
So good.
Like, he's not going to get like award love or anything, but this is like one of those genre movies where he brought it, and a lot of people don't necessarily do that all the time these days, but when they do, I want to reward them with giving them a little bit of praise. And I do think he continues to bring it in all these genre movies. He's not just Drax from the Marvel movies. He's great in those movies. Keeps taking chances with unique filmmakers and everything, and I think he really shines here.
It's astonishing. Dave Bautista was a pro wrestler, and he has worked with Denis Villeneuve, Sam Mendes, M. Night Shyamalan, Rian Johnson. I wish Dwayne Johnson would do this, but it might be too late for him. I don't honestly know. Southland Tales probably was like the end of that.
He picked the wrong guy.
He did. He was like, hey, that's the guy that made Donnie Darko. Okay, yeah, I'm in. And then that movie is, horrible.
Beyond him just being a pro wrestler, Dave Bautista looks the way he does. Like, he's absolutely ripped and he's a massive guy. In theory, it's like, oh, he should be typecast. He should play this ripped guy, this badass all the time. Here, he looks ripped because he looks like Dave Bautista unless they do something crazy. But he plays a different role where he's kind of a little more passive, but you can also just feel the emotion in his eyes and everything. He's rocking glasses in this.
Yeah.
It's just transformation a little bit. I still believe him as the Leonard character while even saying that. Yeah, like it's a really good performance, especially for just a movie that you could have easily phoned in.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like, oh, it's a horror knock at the cabin.
Yeah.
But he brought it.
His kind of hulking presence isn't a distraction. Dave Bautista seems to have the right idea of what he should be doing and what movies to choose. It's strange. But it works, and it works for this movie too.
Another key part of this movie working is the little girl is fantastic in this also.
So good.
And she's immediately like the first thing you see once the movie comes on, and it's her talking to Dave Bautista, and you're just immediately hooked in. You're just like, okay, show me what you got rest of the movie, and then it goes from there. And she's believable and completely as a kid. She's believable completely as a character in this movie. And I do think her dads in this movie are pretty good too. They could have been like the cog that kind of blew it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't really recognize them.
Jonathan Groff is really big on Broadway. He was also like in that Matrix movie. Yeah, he played the new Agent Smith. And then the other guy Ben Aldridge, didn't recognize him. Maybe a trip to IMDb will jog my memory. I think he gets most of the... No, it's pretty...
Yeah, it's pretty even.
It's
one's a little more reserved maybe, but it's pretty even in terms of the work they do. Part of me was like, okay, when's the weird line reading going to come where I'm going to be taken out of this? But they never have that.
Yes.
It's all so believable, and especially with the characters that they're dealing with this movie, it never comes off as phony, never comes off as fake, or this is a production. It comes off as like, hey, this is the story we're going to tell, and we're going to tell it really well. To
your point about, I think her name is Wynn in the movie, as soon as she started talking, I thought back, again, as a quasi-old defender, to the kids in that movie, and it's not their fault that they talk the way that they do.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's M. Night Shyamalan's. They're like, hey, we should move in together and pay mortgages, and they just say weird shit that nobody says. As soon as this girl enters the movie, I was in because there wasn't a weird dialogue reading and there wasn't weird dialogue. It was like everybody was talking like normal people would in whatever this crazy ass situation is. Yeah. I don't know. They didn't feel like aliens or anything. Though, I mean, also the villains, I guess, of the movie could have gone that route.
Yeah.
And they don't. It just, again, I don't know. Worked.
The only couple things I would say maybe negatives in this movie is, like I said earlier, maybe it's not as rewatchable, but obviously don't know that because I've only seen it the one time. And then the other thing would be I could see some people kind of coming into this movie expecting something massive in terms of some crazy thing like a Sixth Sense kind of thing where it's like, oh no, he did it again, he went nuts with it. But it's more of a straight up story. There are some twists and turns, but it's not like an epic thing where, oh, he's still got something he's going to drop in the last 2 minutes. It's not necessarily something like that. It's more of just he drops some beautiful imagery throughout the entire third act where you're just kind of looking at it damn, this guy can make movies. This is the shot he wanted, and he's got it all set up. You can tell what it's meaning by here or there, just little things that rattle in your brain, just kind of that you can easily marinate on afterwards. Or if you see a still frame picture of it, you're like, oh, that's a good movie.
So pretty much everyone's main introduction to M. Night was The Sixth Sense. Nobody knew who this guy was until you saw that movie, and then you got that reveal. It blew our minds.
At the end of Sixth Sense, I jizzed in my path.
After that movie, he had this expectation that expectation that you just discussed, and we still have it. We're going to go into every Shyamalan movie expecting our minds to be blown. The one where the wheels sort of came off was The Village, which I revisited. My thought during that movie was, this is a movie that didn't need a twist, but maybe he felt the pressure to include one. Because if he had just done like a Brothers Grimm fairy tale with The Village, he could have just scared the shit out of us and told a normal story. Instead, he has that twist that pretty much, it diminishes the movie. And what I really enjoyed about Knock at the Cabin is that it doesn't. It doesn't. He has a story, and he tells it. And there's a bit, like, every so often there's a reveal. It's not reliant on blowing your mind with a twist. It's just telling the story as it is, and it's so compelling.
And I think it's sort of unfair to kind of expect that every time from him.
I know.
And whenever he's such a good filmmaker, that it's like he should be allowed to kind of do different things with it, because all these other really great introspective filmmakers, they do that. They have their central themes, their central ideas that they're coming to the art with, but like Shyamalan doesn't really necessarily get a chance to do that a lot. And I think with this movie being just a straight up adaptation where he doesn't have to come up with something wacky that he's got to be, because he's like, I got to be known, I got to up the game, I got to do this even crazier. It just flat out works as like a damn entertaining 100-minute movie where you're like wondering what's going on. Hey, I want to have a thriller to watch tonight. Knock at the Cabin, right there. As far as a rating goes, I think I would personally give this an 8 out of 10, and I would be very interested to revisit it because I think I could very easily bump it to a 9.
I think I'm a 9. It's probably an 8, but I don't know. M. Night, you got me. My only gripe is when I saw Rupert Grint was in this movie, I was like, yay! And then they just don't do much with him, and I'm like, Maybe he's just, dipping his toe in the water.
Knock at the Cabin is in theaters now. Check it out if you like good 100-minute thriller movies. I think it's worth your time. I could see somebody maybe being disappointed by the end of it, but I do recommend this movie full-heartedly.
The twist isn't that it's plants.
So it's got that going for it.
Yes.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
If you like this review, liked our thoughts on it, then give the video a like. If you'd like to see more stuff like this, subscribe to the channel. We do this quite a bit. See you in the next video.
I will ask for the last time. Will you make a choice?